Guys who aren't coming back to Winnipeg next season, assuming Laine is still a Jet at puck drop. No major subtractions, mostly depth players from last year's roster. The 7 subtractions on this list combined for 9 goals and 28 assists last season, and just 2 assists between them in Winnipeg's loss to Calgary in the qualifying round. Okay, guys, so let us dissect the Jets roster after a few busy weeks for Kevin Cheveldayoff. And as we do this, understand, we want to point out, this is not a depth chart, so we're not actually projecting line combinations or D pairings. Pierre, let's begin with you. Is this team better, worse, or the same as last year's edition?
Well, they're certainly better up the middle. I mean, it's one thing to say we need to upgrade the number 2 center position. It's another thing to go out and do it in this environment. So getting Paul Stastny from Vegas, taking advantage of a Golden Knights team that had serious cap issues, was a wonderful piece of business by the Winnipeg Jets. Paul Stastny, one of the best trade deadline acquisitions in recent years, the way he played for Winnipeg in that trip to the Western Conference Finals in 2018. So that's a wonderful fit. He's happy to be there. And so that was important. But I have questions still about their blue line. Re-signing DeMello was a smart choice, but this still screams of a team that needs a top 4 blue liner. If they don't get one, they're going to struggle defensively, despite having one of the best goalies in the world in Connor Hellebuck. But the offseason's not over. They may still be able to trade for one. We'll see.
I agree, Pierre, but I do believe that this team is better on paper than it was last year, based on that center ice position with Paul Stastny coming in, arguably the best top 6, certainly in Canada, as far as depth and balance. And then when you take a look at their goaltender, he is the best goaltender in the league, and the Vezina proves that. So the defensive core, yeah, I think they're shaped well, but the left side for me still screams a top 4 guy. Nathan Beaulieu, Forbert, they're nice additions, are nice players there, but I think you need one more top 4 player. Pionk is a nice player, and so is Dylan DeMello. They're very solid, and we know Josh Morrissey and what he's capable of, but I would say one more top 4 defenseman really rounds out this group for Kevin Cheveldayoff and his management team.
Okay, so that's what Jamie and Pierre think. What do you, the viewers, think? We asked you that very question in preparation for today's show. And according to you, only 31% of you think the Jets are currently better, while 45% say the same. All right, Pierre, you kind of alluded to this. I want you to get a little bit more specific. What do you think Kevin Cheveldayoff goes out and does now in order to take the next step? Are there any names or teams that you could see he could be working things out with right now?
Well, listen, we've been on this story from the get-go. Obviously, there have been conversations with other teams regarding Patrik Laine. Now, again, let me stress this because, as I suspected would happen after my report on insider trading last week, people ran with it to the extent of saying it was a slam dunk that he's getting dealt. It's not a slam dunk. If Kevin Cheveldayoff doesn't get a trade that makes sense for the Winnipeg Jets, he's not trading Patrik Laine. But obviously, he's talking to teams. We know that from talking to our sources around the league. And so the question is, where is that fit? And we know there have been, for example, some talks with the Philadelphia Flyers. And, you know, is there something that you can package around either a Myers or a Sanheim and then add another piece? That's the type of thing I'd be looking at if I was Winnipeg. Obviously easier said than done, but getting a top 4 defenseman back, in particular a young one, would be certainly of paramount importance, I think, if the Jets trade.